right, sweet. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 57. Listen, boys and girls, we have a very busy week of MMA coming up. Saturday, massive card, UFC 256, flyweight title on the line. Just an overall ridiculous card. Let's take it back a step. Let's talk about last Saturday night real quick. Main event, Jack Hermansson taking on Marvin Vettori in a middleweight main event. This one kind of flip-flopped, right? Hermansson had Darren Till. Darren Till got hurt. Kevin Holland got COVID. Marvin Vettori, the number 14 ranked middleweight in the world, stepping up to take on Jack Hermansson, the number 4 ranked middleweight in the world. I think coming into this one, right? Not what we expected. Kind of thought, Jack was going to, I didn't say it was going to be a good fight, but I definitely thought that, Hermansson was going to get his hands raised. But Vettori just looks so good, man. Looks so good. Went out there, really had nothing to lose, right? He's like, listen, if I win, I'm getting into the top 5. If I lose, hey, it's all right. You were supposed to lose. This guy's a top 5 fighter in the world. But these two went to absolute war, 5-round war. Vettori getting it done via unanimous decision. First question, did you agree that it was unanimous, or did you think it should have been a split?
But I think unanimous, because watching the fight back, I think Vettori took rounds 1, 2, and 4 definitely. 1, 2, and
Okay.
4, and then I think Hermansson kind of took 3, and I said 5 was kind of the toss-up. They were both throwing. There's a ton of action, a ton of stuff going on in that round. So I could see that round going either way, but I think I had Vettori 3 rounds to 2.
Yeah, just such a great fight. They broke the record for the most strikes, significant strikes in a middleweight bout, beating out obviously one of the best championship fights you're going to ever see. Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum beat that out for significant strikes, and that fight was just ridiculous. You had two guys in there that they did not stop. They did not stop swinging. Vettori did such a good job at neutralizing Hermansson's takedowns, which I was very surprised of. Vettori just looked fucking strong. His left hand looked great. But then again, although Jack lost, Hermansson looked great, man. He looked like he was supposed to be a top 4 middleweight in the world. But Vettori, man, he was just his striking was on point. Like I said, the takedown defense was on point. What'd you think of the overall performance there, and obviously just the fight in general?
Yeah, I think he really displayed all the skills. There was a point in the second round where Hermansson tried to take him down, and he hit like this switch and reversed them and got top control, which was pretty impressive. I think that was something that a lot of people thought he was going to have trouble with in this fight. But Hermansson had no luck taking him down, and he had to kind of rely on his gas tank and try to win those later rounds. But Vettori made the adjustments after, because we saw the fight kind of shift in round 3. Vettori made the adjustments, and 4 and 5 were pretty even, but he didn't gas out, and the rhythm of the fight didn't change after round 3. Vettori was able to make the adjustments and win 1 or even 2 of those rounds.
Yeah, he looked so impressive, and for a guy to come in as he's obviously a top 15 guy, ranked 14 in the world. I think people kind of slept on him a little bit, man. People forget that he went to split decision with Israel Adesanya. He took Izzy down at will. I'm not saying he won that fight by any means, but obviously split decision. It was closer than people think, and he definitely made a statement, right? That's obviously 4 wins in a row. He gets into the top 5 now. What's next for him? I know he called out, Paulo Costa. Is that a fight that, you want to see? Or, does this kid deserve a shot at the belt now? Like, he just beat Hermansson. Obviously, if you're taking a look at the rankings here, and obviously with Izzy kind of looming into going up to light heavyweight territory, I don't know, kind of where does that put him after like obviously the biggest win of his career?
Yeah, I mean, he moved up into that 5 spot. I think Costa would be a fun fight for him. Um, just depends on if Costa's going to take that fight or not. I know he's focused on getting a second fight with Adesanya after the whole, after fight antics and all that. But yeah, I mean, he's got a ton of options. There's a ton of fun fights for him, especially like not even necessarily in the top 5, but just that whole division, like the whole top 10, bunch of good fights for him. So I think his options are open. Um, but the Costa fight, I think that would be a fun one.
Yeah, and I respected that call out too. And I'm glad that he wasn't one of those guys that kind of went on the mic and called his for a title shot, because I think he was pretty realistic with it. You know what I mean? It's like you got a guy like Robert Whitaker who just got a massive win over Jared Cannonier, who was kind of like the dark horse in the division. And obviously Paulo Costa is a scary fight for anyone. And yeah, Izzy did make it, some light work out of him, but Paulo Costa is still an absolute monster. And I mean, after seeing the fight on Saturday, can anyone disagree that Costa versus Vettori isn't going to be a fight of the night?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Some news I heard this week though that I was a little sad about was Romero being released. I would have loved to have seen him and Costa one more time.
oh man, I
Like,
know.
them in the main event, like a 5-round fight. But what can you do? I mean, he is 44 years old, so it's a tough
Yeah,
decision, but the UFC made it.
I think people forget too that Yoel's lost 4 of his last 5. It's Dana made a good point. He's getting up there in age. I mean, obviously he's still a friggin' monster and one of the scariest dudes in the UFC. So obviously tough to see him go. Hopefully one of these other organizations pick him up. And Bellator, Rumble Johnson just signed with Bellator. So hear me out. Rumble, fucking Yoel Romero, light heavyweight. Boom, matchmaking in heaven. Let's go.
Yeah,
Uh,
that would be huge. That would be huge for Bellator. But I guess, well, from what I'm hearing, anyway, like Bellator or even the PFL, they haven't made any offers to him.
I saw that. Which like to me doesn't make sense. It's like Yoel, you can't go off his last performance. Like the dude
Yeah,
had 2 ridiculous fights with Whitaker, the ridiculous fight with Paulo Costa. Every fight he's been in, other than the Izzy fight, has been so exciting, and no one can argue that. The knockouts he's had, friggin',
you know,
what he did to Chris
Ryan,
Weidman was
yeah,
insane. What he did, like that Costa fight, could have went either way.
yeah,
And then obviously, some people think that he could have won one of the Romero, one of the Whitaker fights as
yeah,
well.
definitely.
This guy is a top 5 guy. I think he could win a belt in another organization. I think he runs through the division in Bellator. I think he's just an absolute monster. I think you send him over to one championship. Like, I mean, the dude's just next level. And I think, the Izzy fight, he's getting a lot of shit for it, but I don't look at him like that. Like, he's
Yeah,
still a fucking freak of nature. So, yeah, obviously sad to see him go, but hopefully he's got some big fights set up. He's going to make a ton of money in another organization, when he gets signed. So he's still an athletic freak. Um, but yeah, I mean, Vettori looks so good, man. I'm super excited to see what they do with him next. Obviously, for a guy like Hermanson, he's still going to be a top 10 guy. So many fun fights out there for him. I still would like to see maybe them book him versus Till, to be completely honest. I
yeah,
think that's still the fight to make after this. Um, just because like now with the win, Vettori, I know that I know what people were complaining about, that like Till actually moved up 2 spots for
yeah,
like no reason. But I still think that Hermanson Till's the fight because of, Till's obviously coming off the loss, Hermanson coming off a loss. Like, I think that's perfect. So I want to see that fight continue to happen. So congrats to Marvin Vettori, friggin' biggest win of your career. Welcome to the top 5. And I think you're going to be seeing a title shot very, very shortly. UFC Vegas 16. Overall, great card, man. I think definitely the talk of the town was definitely the Jordan Levitt knockout over Matt Wyman. That slam was just ridiculous. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. He he had like his forearm like in his neck when he threw
Yeah.
that. And like I've just never seen anything like he was out. Like
Yeah.
we've seen it before, like slams knocking people out, but my God, that was one of the most vicious slams I've ever seen. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, some really good fights. The OSP fight, Jamal Hill, great fight. Um, Prelims, we had Louis Smolka, Jose Quinones. I mean, UFC again just continued to put on great fight cards during this just uncertain time. So UFC Vegas 16, another success. And let's just get right into this, buddy. UFC 256 this Saturday night, live on pay-per-view. We have the flyweight title on the line. Davison Figueiredo taking on Brandon Moreno. Let's just kind of go through the main card real quick. A couple fights to just kind of throw out there. Junior Dos Santos taking on the undefeated newcomer Cyril Gane. I mean, man, this one's a toss-up because you look at, Junior Dos Santos, right, on a 3-fight losing streak. But it's also Junior Dos Santos. He's a beast. He can put you out with one punch. You got a guy, Cyril Gane, who's had 3 UFC fights, made his debut last year. Really his biggest win was against Tanner Boser. So it's so tough to gauge how good this guy really is. But quick predictions. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah. Like you said, it's the vet versus the newcomer. And, we don't know a whole lot about Cyril Gane, but we do know a lot about JDS and his style and how he fights and, how he's, you know, won a lot of fights, won a lot of big fights, faced a lot of adversity in his fights and come back from it. So it's tough to say who's going to win this. I'm going to go with experience for this one. So I'm going to go with Junior Dos Santos.
I was thinking the same thing. And for those of you who are like, oh, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Yeah, his losses are to Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blades, and Jairzinho Rosenstrike. 2 of those guys can put your lights out with a half a punch. Yeah, he's got finished 3 times in a row, but let's not forget, hey, he beat Blagoy Ivanov, beat Tai Tuivasa, and beat Derek Lewis. He was once on a 3-fight win streak. So anything can happen in MMA. I agree with you. Experience over hype. Let's go. Moving up here, Ronaldo Souza taking on Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, originally supposed to fight Hermanson. He gets COVID-19. He gets put on this card, taking on Ronaldo Souza. My God, I love this fight. This is a sneaky good fight, which, you look at a guy like Souza, right? Coming off a 2-fight losing streak, lost to Jack Hermanson, lost to Jan Blachowicz. We haven't seen him in the octagon since last November, right? It's about to be more than a year. And you got a guy like Kevin Holland on the flip side. This kid has fought 4 times in 2020. He's got 4 wins, 3 of them being finishes. This kid is setting himself up to be massive, to be fighter of the year if he beats Jacare. I'm so torn on this one. I look at Jacare, he's fought everyone in this division, right? So much experience. And then I look at a guy like Kevin Holland, right? Beaten 4-fight win streak consists of Anthony Hernandez, uh, Joaquin Buckley, who had that viral knockout, right? Darren Stewart, the goddamn dentist. Shout out the dentist. And then Charles Ontiveros, right? 3 out of 4 finishes. I mean, this kid's impressive. If he goes for 5 wins in 2020, I mean, we're talking about fighter of the year here, possibly. So I'm so torn on this one. But what do you think? Who takes this one?
Yeah, this is a big step up in competition for him. I mean, this is going to be a real this is going to be like his first real big being a ranked fighter in this division. So, it's pretty similar to the last, the fight before this. It's, you got Jacare, who's been in this game forever. He's been in the UFC for a long time. Ton of experience. And you got Kevin Holland, the newcomer, super active, finishing fights on a win streak. Again, I think experience wins this fight. I think I'm going to go with Souza. He's got a really dangerous jiu-jitsu game. And I know Kevin Holland has a wrestling background. His striking is pretty good. We kind of saw that in the Stewart fight. He was able to stand and trade with him a bit. But I think if he goes to the ground with Souza, I think he could find himself in some trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I wanna, veer away from what you just said and be my own man, but man, Jacare is just too good on the ground, bro. And we saw kind of in the Stewart fight, Holland, that was a split, man. And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, the dentist, Darren Stewart, is a tough guy. But I mean, Jacare is a different beast for him, man.
Yeah.
Jacare can put you away on the feet. We saw what he did to Chris Weidman, for Christ's sakes. He literally stiffened him like a board. And just the amount of talent that he's faced in his career. The only thing I give Kevin Holland is he's got the momentum, right? He's fought four
Yeah.
times already. So that could be the biggest factor is Jacare has been out for more than a year. And Holland's been racking up wins in the UFC. But I'm still going to go Jacare on this one. I agree with you. I think he's just going to be too much on the ground. But my God, if he wins this one, we're talking fight of the year. 5 friggin' wins would be insane. So sneaky good fight to watch out for, potentially fight of the night. And then let's get to a lightweight scrap. We got Renato Moicano taking on Rafael Fiziev. I don't even know how to say his last name, but Fiziev's the guy that does like the Matrix shit. He's just ridiculous at just, evading kicks. Um, you got a guy like Moicano, right? This kid was looking like the real deal, right? He took out Calvin Cater, right? He took him to school, then submits Cub Swanson, right? Everyone's like, oh, this is the next big Brazilian star. Jose Aldo just beats him down, and then friggin' Korean Zombie, another massive knockout. And then he kind of takes a step back, takes on Demir Hadzovic, and gets that submission, a quick submission in that fight. So he's kind of back in the leaderboard here. Still a young guy, right? Ton of talent. And then you got a guy like Fiziev who, I guess his biggest win right now is against Mark Jacasey, where he got to show off a lot of his skills. So, a lot of hype behind this kid. I like Moicano though, man. I think, what he did to our boy Cater, man, he just put on an absolute clinic against Calvin Cater and in boxing, which was like, and pretty impressive. So, um, I'm gonna go Moicano on this one. I just think like overall there's levels here, and I just think he's far and above better than Fiziev.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Moicano as well. Um, he has been knocked out a couple times, so those kind of things take their toll. But looking at Fiziev's record and his past, he fights that he wins are by decision. So I think if he can't finish the fight, I think Moicano with the experience, with the level of competitor that he's been going against throughout his entire career, I think just that experience is going to carry him through.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're looking at like the experience side of things here. Listen, hey, if Fiziev comes out, does his matrix shit and gets the win, that's going to kind of propel him, and he's going to be kind of a new contender there. So again, another great fight to look out for on this card. Oh man, let's get to the juicy stuff. I've been waiting to talk about this one all friggin' week. The co-main event, not usually used to seeing this man in the co-main event. Usually he's headlining cards, headlining pay-per-views. We got a lightweight scrap, Tony El Cucuy Ferguson, back taking on the surging Charles Oliveira. They call him Du Bronx. My excitement for this one, I could do the whole video on this.
Yeah,
I am such a big Tony Ferguson fan. This is his first fight back, coming off of the Justin Gaethje kind of beat down, right? Tony 12 fight win streak, man. Just was this absolute like phenom of a fighter. No one knew who was going to stop him. And then Justin Gaethje comes in short notice and gets the job done against Tony, taking the interim belt away from him. And then obviously we know what happened to Justin. And then you got a guy like Charles Oliveira, 6 fight win streak, 6 fight finish streak. This kid's the real deal, man. He's fought everyone in both, really you take a look at it, kind of his featherweight days, right? Um, Fought everyone. These guys like Max Holloway, Jeremy Stevens, Anthony Pettis, Lamas, Felder, man, Guida, Jim Miller, and Kevin Lee. Um, Coming off, his biggest win of the career, Kevin Lee submitting him with a guillotine choke. Kevin Lee, obviously a big name. Man, this one is like, to me, and I know this sounds crazy, and you're probably gonna think I'm crazy, but I think Tony's gonna come out, and I think he's gonna make light work of this. I think he's gonna put Oliveira away, make a goddamn statement, call for his title shot, and I think, bold prediction here, I think he's going to do this impressively. I think he's going to submit Oliveira, something crazy. And I think he's going to call out Khabib. Khabib comes back. And I think you just, at this point, you cannot deny Tony Ferguson the title if he wins this. I mean, the man was on a 12-fight win streak. Get him the Khabib fight if he wins this. That's all I want to see. What do you got for this one? What are your predictions? And how do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, I mean, Tony Ferguson coming back after a fight like that, he's so crazy that like I feel like this is gonna be the best version of him
Yes.
coming out. Sometimes when someone takes that much damage, they don't come back out the same fighter, or even less most of the time. Um, I think he's just so obsessed with this game, with practice, with his technique, with his conditioning. I think he's going to come out and probably be one of the most impressive performances of his entire career. I truly believe that. That's not to say that Oliveira is going to be someone to walk over, but yeah, I'm so excited to see Tony come out. But Oliveira, he's in his last fight with Kevin Lee, completely dominant. His jiu-jitsu looked incredible too. So I could definitely see them having some really fun jiu-jitsu exchanges on the ground. But yeah, Tony's just a different beast. I think he's going to cut him up. I think he's gonna do exactly what he's always done. Wear his opponent down, cut him up, and then just keep on pouring it on as the fight goes on. So I think that's how the fight's going to go. I'm going with Ferguson.
Yeah, man, it's hard to deny. It's hard to bet against Tony, right? And you look at his last fight, and I don't look at that as him being weak or anything like that. I mean, Justin Gaethje is a friggin' problem for any person in this lightweight division. We saw what Khabib did to him, man. I think everyone still wants to see Khabib Tony, and I just think he's going to make a statement. He shaved his goddamn head. I think this is going to be some new mythical creature, bald Tony. I mean, he looks scarier. He's like the same old Tony, man. I love his mindset. I mean, people forget that this man, after one loss, people are writing him off, saying, Khabib would maul him, all this stuff. But I mean, people forget what he did that fight camp. People forget that he cut weight twice. People forget that he also took Gaethje on short notice. Like, people
Yeah.
forget things and how much of a beast this man is. And I agree with you, Kev. I think we're going to see the best version of Tony Ferguson yet, and we're going to see all aspects of his game. And I think he's going to come out angry and looking to make a point. And I can't wait to hear his post-fight speech, because it's always crazy. He's going to be calling out McNuggets, Khabib, anyone that comes in his friggin' way. So, guys, as much as I want this to be fight of the night and this to go, it sucks. It's only three rounds, but I think Tony's going to get this done. It's not a Tony 2.0. I think we're just going to see the most motivated Tony ever. Co-main event. Let's fucking go. And real quick, let's get to the main event. We have the flyweight title on the line. Davison Figueiredo taking on Brandon Moreno. Hey guys, you might be asking, Davison Figueiredo, oh, didn't he just fight on like Halloween or something or whatever? Yeah, he literally fought 20 days ago. This man is a monster. He just defended his belt against Alex Perez, made easy work of it, guillotine choke in the first round. Defending his belt again against, just surging flyweight contender Brandon Moreno, who's on a 3-fight win streak. Really should be a 5-fight win streak. He had that draw against Askarov. Moreno, someone who's looked so impressive in his last literally 5 fights. This one's such a toss-up. If you've been watching the embeddeds, Brandon Moreno's like the nicest dude in the world, funny guy. And then Figueiredo's just got like all the swag. He's been knocking people out left and right. What he did to Joseph Benavidez is still so crazy to me. And obviously what he did to Perez with making it look so goddamn easy. This kid is a beast. And I think Moreno to date is his toughest test. Moreno's someone who like has fought everyone again in the division. This dude's tough. He's durable. He just doesn't get put away. If he loses, it's by decision. I mean, you can't put this kid away. So I'm curious to hear, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that Figueiredo is going to be one of those champs that it's going to be years before he gets dethroned. He's pretty big for the division, super strong, um, really quick, really great striking. We've seen in jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's just all around a really dangerous fighter. I have a hard time picturing anybody beating him anytime soon. So I'm going to go Figueiredo for this one.
Did you? I read the report today. He did an interview. He says that he walks around on fight night 143. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, I mean, I would believe it though. I mean, he honestly does look like he's in a whole different weight division when he steps in fight night. He's actually, I don't know how tall he is, but compared to some of his opponents, he looks pretty tall. I mean, he's five
Yeah,
five, so Moreno is going to be bigger than him.
yeah. Believe it or not, Moreno's actually a big boy. And I don't know. We really haven't seen him against kind of a bigger opponent. So, I just look at Moreno, man, and I think Moreno is a fucking dog. And if Figueiredo puts him away, I will be surprised. I mean, look at Moreno's record, man. He just doesn't get put away. He's a fucking problem. Um, and this is his second stint in like the UFC. People forget that. He kind of had like a resurgence in his career. Like they literally cut him when he had 2 losses, and he comes back and he just puts on an absolute show. And I think the size advantage in this is gonna help him a lot. He's gonna be 5'7". He's got a couple inches on Figueiredo. He's definitely gonna be the bigger man in there. So I'm curious to see what Figgy will do. Man, I'm going to go with the upset. I think Brandon Moreno is going to take it. I think it's going to be a decision. But, obviously Figgy's so dangerous. Do you think if Figueiredo wins this, obviously taking a look at the rankings, does he fight a Cody Garbrandt? Does he take that super fight? Does he go up to bantamweight? Like where, I mean, obviously this would be his second title defense. Unless he wants to catch up to Mighty Mouse, does he start going for these super fights, these money fights? What do you think he goes after this if he gets through Moreno?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things moving around in that bantamweight division that I think it's going to be hard for him to go for that double champ status at this point. You got Aljamain Sterling. I don't know if that's been rebooked, but
Not yet.
him versus Jan that was scheduled. Sandhagen, he just had a big win over was it Moraes, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You get Cody Garbrandt in the mix, who had a pretty big knockout in his last fight. Font's going to be fighting Moraes pretty soon, so that could get him up into the top 3.
Shout out Rob Font.
So I think there's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts in that division that it's going to make it tough for him to leapfrog some of those guys to get in there for a championship fight. Yeah, I think probably what makes the most sense for Cody as well is Cody versus Figueiredo at 125. Now I think a lot of people will watch. Will get a lot of eyes on that flyweight division. and for like people that really aren't watching flyweights or kind of discounting them, I think that would kind of give them the the exposure that they need, and then Figueiredo can take that and then move into 130 if he wins the fight, take that and then go into 135 and kind of have that behind him saying that he already won or already beat a former bantamweight champ.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
I think
could.
that's probably the best move.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then I guess just like, let's just say Figueredo gets through Moreno, right? Obviously, we don't want to, look too far ahead, but quick predictions, early predictions, say they do book Cody versus Figueredo in, let's say March, for example, because that's when Cody said he's going to come back. He's been dealing with some COVID symptoms that just like haven't gone away. Early predictions, real quick, Cody versus Figueredo, who wins this one?
Yeah, I mean, moving down in weight, Cody Garbrandt's pretty lean as it is. To lose another 10 pounds on top of that, we saw what TJ Dillashaw looked like at 125, looked super sucked out, really thin. Um, does take a toll on your body cutting that much weight. And then to go up against a guy like Figueredo, night after weighing in, um, I think that's a pretty tough fight for Garbrandt. I would think Figueredo would win that one.
Yeah, especially with the chin problems that Cody's had.
Yeah.
Moving down in weight definitely doesn't help your chin. And listen, I'm not saying Cody's got a glass chin. He's like a Luke Rockhold or Weidman, but when you get knocked out 3 times in a row, and you can't tell me that doesn't affect your chin. Um, and
Yeah.
Cody hits like a goddamn truck. We saw what he did in his last fight to Rafael Sunsao. But like you said, what happened with TJ, man, it affects your body in different ways. Who knows? He could do well from it. But I want to see the fight, but I don't think it ends well for Cody, especially when Figueiredo's a bigger flyweight. We've obviously seen Figueiredo miss weight before because, he's a bigger guy. So I think it would be a bad night for Cody. But just looking forward to seeing what Figueiredo does in this fight. Going to be his toughest fight to date. UFC 256. Man, I can't wait. It's going to be a ridiculous card. So pay-per-view live this Saturday night. Final pay-per-view of this crazy 2020. The UFC has just done such a fantastic job of putting on ridiculous cards. And speaking of that, next week we'll put a little preview in, but the UFC Fight Night card next 2 weeks is ridiculous too, headlined by Stephen Thompson and Jeff Neal. We'll get into that one next week. But any other fight news, Kev? What do we got?
Nothing really. I mean, just some of the cuts that they've been making and that they've been announcing. I guess more are going to roll out
Yeah,
as time goes on. But the big ones are Ramiro and Rachel Ostovich.
yeah,
That's the one that a lot of people are talking about.
yeah. Two big names. Ostovich. I think she's probably going to land somewhere like Bellator or who knows, OnlyFans, which I think everyone wants to see. So we'll see what she does next. But her Romero, I definitely think that there's going to be some other vets that are kind of unexpected. Anyone in your mind that you think like we're going to see in the next few days, like, oh shit, like, do you think someone like a Weidman or like a Rockhold, like someone who really just hasn't been winning? Like, do you see someone like that big of a name possibly getting cut? Even like a guy like Cowboy, like, do you see a name like Cowboy getting cut?
Mm, I don't know, man. It's tough to say. I mean, I think age is going to play a big role in it, and then activity too. Like someone like Rockhold, I don't even know the last time he fought. Was that when he got knocked out by
Bukovic, yeah.
yeah, Rapovic? Yeah. I mean, I think it would make sense. He hasn't been fighting. He's been knocked out a couple times. It doesn't look like he has any plans in fighting. And he's one of those guys that he's got a pretty big following, and people will watch him. So I think financially it probably makes sense for the UFC as well. To whatever they're spending per fight on him would probably supply enough for a couple of new fighters.
Mhm.
So I think that's weighed into the decision as well as just the financial aspect of it.
Yeah. Now, a question for you. Something I've been thinking about too, obviously with Dana White, doing this like contender series, right? And he's signing, think about it, 4, 5 new fighters a week. Do you kind of like that model, or do you wish that he went back to like the Ultimate Fighter where it was like, hey, winner gets in the UFC? Because I feel like he is, inflating the roster a lot and
Mm,
bringing in these like relatively new young guys. And I think he's trying to find that next star rather than doing that like tournament style, the Ultimate Fighter, because feel like that's where you're really gonna find the stars and the champions and all that. I don't know, like, what do you think? Do you think that's like he should do away with the contender series? Because I feel like that's the biggest issue right now.
yeah, I mean, I think so. I like them both for different reasons. Like with all the new fighters coming through the contender series into the UFC, it just it puts that much more pressure on the rest of the roster to really perform because they get this constant flow of new guys coming in wanting to take their spots. So I think from that aspect, it is a good idea, but it is adding a lot of new people um, into a roster that's pretty inflated as it is. Um, but yeah, the cool thing about the Ultimate Fighter is that you get to see these guys fight a couple times, and
Mm-hmm.
then the champ at the end ends up being, getting a contract. It's the best guy out of a whole group of I forget how many they do, like 10, 12 guys, whatever, um, makes it into UFC. So I think from that standpoint, it's much harder to go the Ultimate Fighter route, but I think it gives you more of a reputation going into the UFC. And I think a lot of people don't really know the Contender Series kids unless they've had a big finish.
Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, man. I'm curious to see who these 60 people they're going to cut. I do feel like we're going to see some big names, and I think a lot of people are going to be shocked by the decisions that Dana White makes. But the UFC is trying to breed these new stars, so I'm curious to see guys like Chimaev and Sean O'Malley and like all these guys that they're trying to build up. I'm curious to see how many times they fight in 2021, and just looking forward to all of that. Stay tuned. Few weeks we'll be giving away the Flatlined Awards. Can't wait to do that for those of you who were around last year. Those are fun. I love making those up. So huge 2 weeks left in the kind of UFC calendar. Super stoked to kind of cover all these. The pay-per-view this weekend has me fired up. And then this just leads us into an enormous January 2021 where we got guys like Connor, Dustin, Cater's back, Holloway's back. Like this is just setting up for everything. So super excited to wrap up 2020, getting into 2021. Listen, click that subscribe button. Go comment. Go like our Instagram. We're goddamn blowing up. Our following's blowing up. Twitter's blowing up. Thank you guys for everything. Need merch? Click the link below. CBD, Trifecta Meals, all of that, Venom products. Click the link below. Support the boys. You guys are the best. Until next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.